So here we are, Tiff, in the BMW M5 competition, the latest in the lineup of M5s that goes back some 30 odd years.
Yeah, fabulous car. What we've got now, what, 4.4 litre twin turbo V8 under the bonnet, and well, the standard level one had 600 horsepower, and this competition's got 625 horsepower. It's a little bit more power. The only thing is, you're looking at the styling before we got in. It's a big car. I know it's very stylish, but it's more like a 7 Series. You know, I just sort of love those M5s when they were a bit smaller, to be honest.
Well, today's your lucky day because we've got every single M5 that's ever been made.
(1984). Takes you back a bit.
It does. We'll put it this way. Not a single one of our camera crew were alive when this car was made. That's incredible, isn't it?
Was it 35 years ago?
It's pretty much original from new. How does it feel?
It doesn't quite turn as sharp as you remember modern cars, but oh, the driving sensation. Of course, you know, I just love manual gearboxes. I just love being able to go, you know, where I want to go.
The smell as well. Still, you can still smell the original leather, which is just incredible.
How about these seats? We've got 8 different, because the headrest is electric, great big buttons with 10 different
buttons.
Oh, it's the 2 in the middle of the headrest.
The 2 in the middle of the headrest, electric headrest, first time ever on a BMW in this car.
And that famous BMW straight 6 under the bonnet. And this was the engine that actually came up. The very first M car was, of course, the M1, that sports car that came out in, what, 1978.
But this is a wet sump version of that same engine.
Basic engine. But this was the first M car saloon car ever.
Yeah,
this began it all. So what capacity are we now? What, 3.5 litre was it?
The 3.5 litre straight 6, 286 horsepower.
And weighing in at...
Well, that's the point. It's 1,495 kilograms. So light comparatively to modern day cars.
Tell you what, it's solid. I mean, you know, it's a firm, this bit of road here, but there's not many shakes or rattles, are there, for a 35-year-old car? You know my trouble, though?
Go on.
This has always been, to me, the best-looking M5.
You're not alone there, Tiff, and there's nothing wrong with that, is there?
This lovely, square, boxy shape.
It does look absolutely fantastic. When this car came out in 1984, the list price was about 31, just a shade over. And now this car, this actual car, is probably worth about £50,000 in today's money. Some investment. I didn't expect you to be driving.
Well, yes, I know technically it was your turn to drive, but you see, I was in the right-hand seat of the last car, and I'm in the left-hand seat this time. It just happens to have the steering wheel. I can't help that.
So probably needs no introduction. This is the E34, and it came out in 1988 and went all the way through to 1995.
So another straight 6 engine, a development of the previous model or a different engine?
Well, it's got the same engine as the previous model, that straight 6 as you say, but it actually halfway through its cycle it changed to a 3.8 litre. The 3.8 litre had a 6-speed gearbox. However, just to confuse you, this one still has a 3.5 litre gearbox because it's the Nürburgring edition.
Ah, which I know something here. I'm geeky occasionally. Look, I've got a little switch which goes straight to a sort of sport mode, which the standard cars, this is a Nürburgring version.
Adaptive suspension, the first time ever on an M5 as well.
Oh.
Can you tell about it or not?
It's still bumping around a bit. Compared with modern cars, it's not very adaptive. It's definitely firmer now. I've gone to Nürburgring, isn't it?
Yeah, it's much firmer than the last one.
And turns in sharper than the previous model. Definitely hasn't quite got that wallowing feel. I'm going to turn the rattle suspension on.
Please turn the regular suspension on. It's quite firm, isn't it?
Yeah.
So we've got heated seats, but we've lost those lovely electric seats, those 10-mode electric seats that we had in the previous model.
I was going to say something's missing. Nice little wheel though, because it was a big steering wheel in the first generation car. Now we've got a smaller wheel, more responsive steering.
Looks-wise, what do you think of the looks? This against the E28?
It just hasn't got quite so much character as that original version, which I liked so much. I think it's sharper handling, nice little steering wheel, but you know, just has less throw on the gear. A lot of things are good about it in the practical sense, but just character. And I see turning in now, I see much more responsive turning, less body roll, nice power delivery. I mean, it's very good.
I'll tell you one thing, this has to be one of the cleanest E34s in the country, probably in the world. Everything is just concours standard.
Why am I in the left seat again?
There's no way you're driving 3 times in a row. Twice is bad enough. This is nice, isn't it?
Well, this to me was the huge leap forward, because from 1995 to 1998 there wasn't any M5. Then boom, in we come. The
Big
V8.
Yes, exactly.
So what, 4.9 litres, 400 horsepower as per the BMW owned number plates, whereas the British journalists would say 394 brake horsepower. But no, 400 PS, 400 horsepower.
Can I remind you, you are a British journalist.
Oh yeah, but I've tried this campaign for years to stop them. And that's 85 more horsepower than the outgoing straight six, the second generation. So quite a thing. Still manual gearbox.
It feels a lot more luxurious, don't you think, for the first time?
Yes, a lot firmer, a lot stronger, a bit heavier. But this car is like 1.2 seconds faster to 60. I mean, it's a huge step up.
It is. I love the double glazing. Have you seen the double glazing in the car?
The what?
The double
I've
glazing.
forgotten about that. Yes, the famous double glazing.
And this is the first car to have the VANOS, the variable valve timing as well.
That's right, all increasing that power. But perhaps more importantly, this is the famous BMW M5 that a certain young Tiff Needell did that huge power slide drift on a television program called Top Gear. You might have heard of it. Ran through the 90s, a very good show. But I think in a way that was the first drifting on television. I think I began the drifting which now every journalist in the world copies. But it was a great car. I mean, we did a fantastic film on it because it was such a breakthrough. So much power, so playable.
Tiff, I've still got a lovely wheel. I like the size of this wheel, but for the first time, some buttons are creeping in.
Buttons have arrived.
But it's nice. That's good. That was good because it keeps your hands on the wheel where they should be.
Yeah,
and
you
not
occasionally hit things with the butt of your thumb and then things start happening.
And what about this, Tiff? The infotainment screen. How about that?
Was this the first one?
First one in an M5.
What moves what? Okay, right.
On the right-hand side, that moves it.
There. What do I press?
Look at that map. But look at this. Pass me that cassette, would you?
Oh, what? What in there?
That's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
2005, and after another 2-year wait, we had the 4th generation M5, and wow, another huge special because we had the V10 engine under that long bonnet.
The best sounding for sure, and a massive step up in terms of the interior of this car as well. This is the E60, by the way.
And did I give another number? I just do generations. I can't do these letters. And the first flappy paddle. Hold on a minute. That's the first one I've done. I've forgotten how bad it was. The first. Let's go down to first again. The first flappy paddle.
But you can adjust. You can adjust the speed of it. You're on 1 at the moment. I'm going to adjust the flappy paddle speed to maximum velocity.
All right. So this is now. It's going to be really quick.
Really quick. So snap like that.
Second gear, accelerate, and up to third. And when you think this was revolution, I know people did complain about it because it's only a single clutch, isn't it? But basically, these early DSG flappy paddle gearboxes did have that hesitation. But
do you know the solution?
Well, no, move on another generation.
No, live in America and have a 6-speed manual because this car in America had the manual gearbox.
But we'll try and forget about that gear change. It was a feature of the car, but you soon forgot about it when you got this V10 howling round to 8,000 revs. And so now we've moved on, what, 7 years or so. What power have we gone up to from the V8 to the V10?
Unless you press the M button on the steering wheel, you've only got 400 horsepower. And once you press that M button, you allegedly get all the horses released to 507 horsepower. Notice the difference?
Oh, go on. It's got those active seats.
Exactly. First time with the adaptive seats as well, which you can adjust here.
I don't like those. They suddenly hug you when you go around the corner.
But only again when the M button's pressed in.
Oh, that's what happened.
Exactly, yeah.
Well, I'm turning the M button off again now. I'm on the roads. I don't need.
Quite nice, actually, I think.
Don't you get hugged often enough then? Is that your trouble?
I don't. That is the trouble. We've lost the cassette player. We've gone for this new fandangled technology called CD players now.
Oh, blimey.
Look at that.
We should do the history of music while we're doing it. This model, another one made famous by another epic Tiff Needell story because we filmed at Rockingham, where amazing. I mean, I was about 50 years old and allowed to drive a Williams Grand Prix car, and Vicky Button Henderson drove this M5. We're in a race at Rockingham, And I managed to do 4 laps before she did 3 laps. And it's an epic, another YouTube epic. But that was, of course, 5th gear. I'd moved on from that old show called Top Gear to a new show called 5th Gear. And now I'm on Love Cars.
And Tiff, this car is the 25th anniversary car. It's a special edition car of the M5, 25th anniversary. Nice, eh? Do you know how I know that?
No.
I saw it on the door sill as I got in. 2011 BMW F10, V8's back, but we got a turbo for the first time.
Well, it was turbocharging, wasn't it? I know it's come now, but again, we went from that, V10 that was in a Williams Grand Prix car to this big, lumpy twin-turbo V8.
But you got more power.
Yeah.
Gearbox vastly improved, I'm very happy to say.
That's because it's got the twin clutch.
Exactly.
That was the big breakthrough. So the single clutch robotised manuals has now got the gear already engaged, so that when you pull the lever, it's boom, straight in.
And it is much quicker, isn't it? It snaps in.
Oh, sounds quite impressive.
And it feels like it's snapping. It sounds
all right. Are you sure you know what you're doing behind that wheel?
560 horsepower, Tiff. 0 to 60, first time ever, sub 4 seconds, 3.9 seconds, 0 to 62. And
viciously quick.
The US car again, in this car, had the manual 6-speed as well.
Isn't it bizarre, the Americans, we used to mock them for their automatics and terribly bad handling cars, and now the Europeans have all got automatics and the Americans have got manuals.
That sounds good, doesn't it?
Yeah, all right, okay, I've heard it, all right.
I've got to say, Tiff, this is the first M5 that encourages you to want to drive faster.
It's got a bit of raughtiness to it, hasn't it? That's the turbo sound, but I think this is all artificial sound.
So what?
Well, I know.
What's your point?
It's sort of, they were so guilty feeling bringing in a turbocharged car, they had to give it this artificial sound so we wouldn't complain. So it pleases these little people like you that, noise. So your problem, it's all about power.
No, it's about handling as well, and this car is just a big step up. Big step up from the E60.
You keep on wanting to open that throttle because you love that surge of torque, which of course the turbo gives you.
All right, forget the power for 1 second and the handling. The inside the car, aesthetically, this is classy, and this is very much modern day BMW, isn't it? You wouldn't know that this wasn't in the current lineup, I have to say.
Of course, the big thing about the turbos is that whereas the power has only gone up, what, 43 horsepower or so, the torque has gone up 160 Newton meters. And interesting that third generation V8 had like 500 Newton meters. The V10, 520. So just jumping from V8 to V10, not much difference. Boom, put the turbos on, and that torque comes pouncing in. And now we're back to the future, back to where we started with this latest model, which actually it's the same basic engine, isn't it, as the outgoing one?
It's got the S63 platform, the V8 twin turbo on this car. What do you think now you're driving it?
Well, yeah, I'm intrigued first to find this gearbox. I was a bit worried reading about it being a torque converted auto, but it changes very efficiently. And then I was worried about the 4-wheel drive, but of course when road going, you don't notice whether it's got 4-wheel drive or not, do you? I mean,
well, in a way, it's quite nice, I think, this 4-wheel drive on normal roads. And of course, you got the option to put it into 2-wheel drive, into rear-wheel drive.
It'd be even lighter if it didn't have the 4-wheel drive. I think that's why they made the effort to make the car lighter. Otherwise, all us enthusiasts would say, well, you've got that stupid great 4-wheel drive you're dragging around. But I'm sure when it's snowing or pouring with rain,
it's a car that you can use 365 days of the year, come rain or shine, or indeed snow.
Well, your settings are complex, I think. So we've got the normal Sport and Sport Plus that BMW have, but then you can add all these. In fact, why don't you tune me in with buttons? Because that's the great thing about BMW. They do have these M buttons, so you can choose your setup. So what are we in now? The M1 settings.
I've already said M1, so everything is nice and comfortable. Comfort suspension, comfort steering, so everything's comfortable. And if you click on M2, you'll be delighted to know that I've already tuned that in as well. And I put M2, so if you just press that, it'll put you on rear-wheel drive with no traction control, Sport Plus on everything else. How about that?
Sounds like my sort of button. The engine growls a bit more. Suspension definitely firms up. Throttle response is sharper. I won't experiment with the 2-wheel drive on public roads, the extremes, that's for the track, but you certainly feel the difference, don't you? It really sharpens itself up.
I can feel the difference in my bottom as well, going over these bumpy little country roads.
I still don't think that snaps through the gears as quick as a twin clutch flappy pedals. I mean,
what's it like around this corner? Oh, nice little backfire then with the exhaust.
Old blip out back.
You just wanted to snap in gear a little bit more, but don't forget where this car sits. It's a car for the family. You can have 4 people in it, 5 people in it, with all your shopping and your luggage and everything else. It's an incredible everyday car that ticks most boxes.
I tell you what I've noticed with BMW, that the steering wheel seems to get fatter and fatter.
Too big.
I know it's, but yeah, you agree.
It's too big, yeah.
I agree, yeah, it's got too far now.
It's certainly very comfortable, and you know that you could just smash across a continent in this car.
I was just about to say the thing, you just want to disappear. Now you're over a crest and into the horizon. I mean, I know you haven't got a track for me today, but we are now technically off-road, aren't we?
This is private land.
I can now maybe feel what the rear-wheel drive only is like. And now, that's much more like it. Oh, see, this is what you want to do. It is an M5, it's a real M5.
Well, the donuts were good, but I'm not so sure about this parking.
First, they weren't donuts, they were power slides. And I can't get it perfect every time, but what a history we've been through, eh? 2011, the F10, the first twin-turbo V8.
2005, the E60, and this was the first and only V10.
Love the V10.
Me too.
1998, the E39, the first V8.
And then down to 1988, which is the E34, and really when the car started to get packed with tech.
But then back to the beginning, back to 1984, the E28. And I have to say, it's the one I'd rather like to take home.
I don't blame you, it's a beautiful car.
Your choice, sir?
I'm afraid it's got to be the F90, Tiff. That competition just packed with tech. What a stunning car.
My truth is, you couldn't really go far wrong, whichever one of these wonderful cars you picked.
You're right, very special. Special day, special cars.